What would Warner Bros. Discovery consider a success for the AEW Collision brand on TNT? Well, those details have possibly been revealed, and how it could impact AEW's future contracts with WBD as well. Chris Hero opens up about producing in All Elite Wrestling, saying that it is a bit of a challenge. Brian Cage says the AEW audience hates on him a little bit. Will Ospreay hits the Tiger Driver 91 once again. Darby Allin admits his appreciation for working with Sting in AEW. Matt Hardy praises the Young Bucks versus the Dark Order on AEW Rampage 100. And David Finley says he doesn't think Eddie Kingston's a threat in the G1 Climax tournament. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of All Elite Wrestling. Let's start off talking about AEW Collision. Of course, a lot of talk, discourse, and discussion right now regarding the ratings for AEW Collision and if it can survive on Saturday nights from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. live. A difficult time of the week, particularly when sport really kicks in later on this year. And, of course, a time which most people are out at the weekend. But what would Warner Bros. Discovery, most importantly, consider a success for the new AEW show? Well, according to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, AEW Collision debuted on a night that is largely uncharted territory for a weekly primetime Saturday show in this current television landscape. AEW Dynamite has generally been between 830 to 950,000 viewers on Wednesdays in primetime, while AEW Rampage, that's been all over the map because of sporadic viewing times, preemptions, etc., plus a difficult time slot as well. Now, according to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, Fightful has inquired within both AEW and sources at Warner Bros. Discovery prior to the launch of AEW Collision as to what they would consider a success for a Saturday night primetime live show. Now, AEW didn't actually respond to the inquiries from Fightful, but sources within Warner Bros. Discovery reportedly told Fightful that they were much more interested in rankings than they were a particular number, i.e. they weren't too concerned about a viewership number, but where they ranked for the night on cable in the key demographic. Now, AEW Dynamite has steadily ranked highly for the night. This past week, for instance, they were the #1 show on cable on Wednesdays for their time slots. And Warner Bros. Discovery say they expect the same out of AEW Collision. They also noted that they were well aware that the 4 months will face stiff competition from college football, etc. Those sources said that they largely considered a top 5 ranking as a success for the show. Collision's performance as well, and I suppose this might be the key aspect in this, Collision's performance looks to be integral towards AEW landing a new media rights deal, which Fightful have been told would be a huge addition financially for the company. Talks have been ongoing between each side, so Fightful are suggesting that actually the success of this Collision show will determine if AEW does get a bigger, better, and more financially rewarding new television rights or media rights deal with Warner Bros. Discovery. Warner Bros. Discovery certainly are all in on AEW content right now, but the success of Collision could be a key indication as to where they go in the future. So my question to you is, guys, given these parameters for what a success would be for AEW Collision, will the show be a success? They're not too concerned about viewership, but they are concerned about the key demographic. Will they hit that key demographic? Let me know your thoughts, your opinions, your comments, as always, in the comment section below. Now, let's talk about Chris Hero. A lot of talk about Chris Hero recently, of course, of him being a producer, a coach backstage in AEW, but also discussion of, is he going to wrestle for All Elite Wrestling? Is he going to become All Elite inside of the ring? Well, Chris Hero has discussed his work with AEW. Now, Hero has been working for AEW on a trial basis in recent weeks and recently noted that he did, quote, a little coaching at AEW and New Japan's Forbidden Door pay-per-view. Speaking with John Pollock and Brandon Thurston for Post Wrestling, Hero was asked about coaching in AEW. He responded by emphasizing that he enjoys coaching and producing, and he highlighted the different approaches to the job. Quote, the coaching/producing aspect is something I really enjoy, Hero said. It's different, like you coach different people different ways. Sometimes you're just a note taker. Okay, what are these guys doing? Boom, let's try to make sure the cameras get it all. Let's make sure that production knows what's going on. Someone's coming through the crowd, that kind of stuff. Then sometimes it's a collaborative effort where you're sitting there with people, they're stuck on something and you're like, how about this? How about that? Whatever. Like I said, it's a collaboration. I love all of that. I feel like there's so much in my head that's just forcing its way out, and I have to control it. You don't want to annoy people, you want to help and encourage. You don't want to make them see you and be like frustrated. So I did this a bit when I was in NXT. I was on the headsets a couple of times. Hero then noted he did some producing with IWC in Pittsburgh, and he describes how he gained experience working with talent in a behind-the-scenes capacity. There's a group in Pittsburgh called IWC, Hero said. Last year, I came in and produced about 8 or 9 shows, something around there for them, where I'd write out a format for the whole show, and we'd look at all the segments, we'd figure out what's going on, and then you would go one-on-one with each segment, with each talent, give them broad strokes of what expected of them. You let them put stuff together, and then you come back to them later and kind of check back in. There's some matches where there's not a lot of direction, when there's some where it's like, we need these things to happen in this way so we can get to where we're going. After detailing his work with West Coast Pro, Hero described how this work helped prepare him for his current responsibilities with AEW and Ring of Honor. He then stated that his work behind the scenes will be beneficial when he eventually returns to the ring. He said, quote, "Working with talent on a show basis when you're going matches 1 to 8 or whatever it is has prepared me for coming in and doing a couple of matches for AEW or for Ring of Honor where I have much less responsibility." He also said, "It's also not my ideas. It's not something I come up with and trying to convey to the talent. It's like, hey, this is what we want. Let them know what we want and help them figure it out. Then getting questions from them and seeing if I can find an answer to that and going back and forth. I just think when I eventually do come back to the ring and start having matches, this just better prepares me for learning different aspects of pro wrestling and different ways to do things, and not being set in your one specific way that you want to do things 99 out of 100 times. It's also trying different things. You never know what extra things you're going to do is going to make such a big difference." So certainly very, very interesting, his perspective on his new role with AEW. Recently, of course, Tony Khan said he was chipping away at Hero to see if he would actually wrestle for the company. What are your thoughts on Chris Hero? Will he wrestle for AEW eventually, or will he just stick in a behind-the-scenes capacity? Brian Cage has had some interesting comments about the AEW audience. Cage, of course, has been with AEW for 3 years. The 100th episode of AEW Rampage was airing on Friday on TNT, and a big part was the blind eliminated tag team tournament. Brian Cage teamed with Big Bill to defeat Matt Sydal and Trent Beretta. Ahead of the match airing this past Friday, Cage joined Dave LaGreca and Thunder Rosa on Busted Open Radio, and as the conversation rolled on, Cage was asked if he feels underappreciated in general. He said in certain regards he does, and when it comes to AEW, he gets the feeling that the core audience hates on him a little bit. LaGreca listed Cage's attributes and strong points, and Cage says he feels like a lot of those scream WWE, so he feels the core AEW audience feel like he's playing on the wrong team. Quote, "In certain regards, yes," as to being underappreciated, but also I feel like with especially our core audience at AEW, I feel like they almost hate on me a little bit because of all those attributes you just said about me. I almost feel like that screams WWE, right? So I almost feel in some regards people are always anti-me, like, ugh, he doesn't belong here, he's too jacked, he does this, which are all positives in my book, but I almost feel like they feel like I'm on the wrong team, and I can toot my own horn and be like, okay, well maybe that's just because they can't be me and they'd rather attach onto a Darby Allin or something who they can live more vicariously through as opposed to someone like me. So what do you think about Brian Cage's comments? Is he right? Does the AEW core audience hate on him because of the way he looks and because he's more typically pro WWE in terms of the style and the look? Or do they just not like him because he's not good? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. So much conversation wasn't there about the Tiger Driver 91. The Tiger Driver 91 had so much conversation about it. Well, Will Ospreay, he's used the controversial move once again after Forbidden Door. In a match that many fans, or certainly some, are calling the best match ever, Will Ospreay defeated Kenny Omega to regain the IWGP United States Championship in an instant classic at the Forbidden Door pay-per-view last month. Following the pay-per-view, one of the most talked about moments of the entire match and the show was Ospreay using the Tiger Driver 91 on Omega to drive his head into the mat. The former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion has taken advantage of this controversy by producing shirts with image of the move and calling it the Storm Driver 93, with 93 of course being his birth year. At the July 9 Revolution Pro Wrestling event Epic Encounters, Ospreay faced Leon Slater. During the bout, Ospreay once again used the controversial move on Slater. This led to the United Empire leader scoring a pinfall victory over Slater on the show. So Ospreay continues to do it. What are your thoughts on the move? Because I'm sure it will generate even more conversation. Darby Allin, of course, paired up with Sting in AEW, and Darby's opened up about working with the WWE Hall of Famer. Darby Allin has become something of a mentee to WWE Hall of Famer Sting over the last few years. Allin has been teaming up with the former WCW World Heavyweight Champion since Sting joined AEW in late 2020, and the former TNT Champion is well aware of the implications. Quote, "To me, the story is like a beginning, middle, and an end, and we're at the tail end of Sting's career, and just to have any part of his story, especially the end with having these last few years, has been incredible," Allin said on Busted Open. "I don't take it for granted at all. Every week, I want to do justice to his career when we go out there." While it is normal for older wrestlers to mentor younger wrestlers, especially in AEW, Allin takes credit for doing his part to inspire Sting as well. "I'm considered kind of the Sting whisperer," Allin confessed. "He was supposed to come back for cinematic matches only, and I kind of talked him into doing it live because I was like, man, you still have it, whatever it is." Seemingly, from the word go, Sting has only taken greater and greater risks. From there, he found a balcony and jumped off it through a table, Allin chuckled. Allin's tenure as Sting's partner has led to some historic places, including the final match of the Great Muta earlier this year. Allin is doing his best to stay humble. "I don't take it for granted at all," Allin said. "Sting's a great human being and a chill guy backstage." Now, let's switch gears here and talk about Rampage a little bit. Matt Hardy's praised the match on this past week's episode of AEW Rampage. Due to the size and depth of the locker room, not everyone gets a chance to appear on AEW programming every week. But when they get a chance to shine, many really do try to make the opportunity count. And according to Matt Hardy, the latest to do so is the Dark Order, who set out to settle a personal vendetta with Hangman Adam Page and the Young Bucks. The Dark Order, they've been on a roller coaster of emotions since they debuted. After debuting in 2019 and recruiting for their mysterious group, they were joined by the Exalted One, Mr. Brody Lee, and became a marquee act for the company. But after the entire wrestling world unexpectedly lost their beloved leader, they were mostly relegated to their fan-favorite segments on Being the Elite, featuring a new friend but not member, Hangman Adam Page. So when Page chose Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks over the Dark Order and proved to be a bad friend to them, whether he meant it or not, the trio of Evil Uno, Alex Reynolds, and John Silver stepped up to challenge the Young Bucks on the 100th episode of Rampage, to prove that they're not a joke of a faction that people can walk all over. Just like many in the audience, Hardy recognized the intricacies of the confrontation and praised the layers of storytelling that unfolded during the match. The veteran mentioned on Twitter that the Dark Order earned such a deserved spotlight and the Elite will unfortunately get their flowers way later than they should. He said, quote, "The Dark Order versus the Elite was a fantastic match. It's nice to see the Dark Order earn such a well-deserved spotlight. The Young Bucks and Adam Page are extraordinary talents and will unfortunately get their flowers way later than they should." With plenty more to explore in this story, let's hope it can continue to unfold. But since the Dark Order is dealing with the Righteous on Ring of Honor and the Elite have a blood and guts match against the Blackpool Combat Club coming up, it's unclear if we'll see the two stables mix it up again or if Uno and company are satisfied with the boundary they set in order to move on. Finally, Eddie Kingston, of course, is going to be competing in the G1 Climax tournament, and a New Japan star in David Finley doesn't think he's a threat. Many fans were elated to find out that AEW star Eddie Kingston would be taking part in this year's G1 Climax 33 tournament. The formidable block featuring opponents such as Tomohiro Ishii and Shingo Takagi, there might not be a more dangerous opponent for Eddie Kingston over the next month than Bullet Club War Dogs leader David Finley. Ahead of the start of the tournament, Finley spoke with New Japan's website and ran down his block of opponents with some rather choice words for the Mad King. When mentioning Kingston, the never openweight champion praised Kingston's win over Switchblade Jay White in a loser leaves New Japan match at Battle in the Valley in February. Finley said, quote, "Eddie got to do what I wish I could have when he sent Jay White packing. Despite wishing he could have been the one to beat White, Finley still doesn't feel Kingston is a threat in a New Japan ring. Quote, he was an indie darling for years, but now he's in deep waters. By the time he gets to me, he'll have wrestled an entire G1, so I can't wait for him to find out what the real big leagues are." Now, despite his shortcomings, Eddie Kingston proved a lot of naysayers wrong, and he defeated Kenta to win the New Japan Strong Openweight Championship at New Japan Strong Independence Day, Day 2. Of course, once the tournament starts, we'll provide you more updates as it goes on. But there you go, guys. It's the latest AEW news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.